Welcome back to MVM. Today we are going to take a look at the newest game from Cogito, Ergo, Meeple, and that is Philosophia Floating World. Now you might recognize the name Philosophia from an overview that I did on the channel a couple years ago for their first game, which was called Philosophia Dare to be Wise. Now this is not an expansion to that game, and it's not quite a sequel either. In fact, it is an entirely new game set in the same kind of philosophical world, this time focusing on Eastern philosophies, but using mechanics of deck building and moving around a map in order to secure your goal. What you're trying to do in this game is demonstrate Gambaru, which is the Eastern concept of dedication to a task. You're trying to prove your dedication to each of the four tenets of this Eastern philosophy. You have the Shinto, where you're trying to place shrines out on the board. You have Zen, which is going to require you to build a pagoda. You have Bushido, which tasks you with tracking down and fighting a legendary monster. And then you have Chie, which is studying the ancient philosophies. You're going to do all of this, like I said, through a deck building mechanic and also moving around this board, trying to go to specific places to take actions and kind of block other opponents. Now, you're going to set up the game like you see it here in front of me. I do have a 3-player game already set up, but keep in mind this is completely a Kickstarter prototype. Nothing you see is final, and I'm using some tokens to represent some of the miniatures we'll have in the final version of the game. And in addition, I've only got 3 characters, and there are quite a lot more characters planned. The board will be double-sided to play up to 6 players. Each player is going to get their mini, and they're going to get a character card. Now these character cards are double-sided to represent beginner play and advanced play. You can either all start with the same resources, or you can play the advanced mode where everybody starts with an asymmetric setup. And you're going to receive a number of resource items that is listed on your card. In addition, you're going to have a different space that you come out to play on the board. Now, each player is going to have their own player board, and you're going to get to choose. This is not linked to your character. And this is double-sided as well, so you'll have a lot of different possible combinations you can play. Now, you'll notice there is a lot going on here on this action board, and we're going to kind of talk about this as we play the game. But if you look here over to the side, it's going to kind of show you the main actions you can take. And the reason these are printed on your player board is because you can actually activate these in order to take bonus actions. In addition, each player is going to start with a set of location cards marked with their symbol. Now, these location cards are going to be that main deck building mechanic, but the way you're drawing and playing these cards is very unique, and I'll talk about that in a second as well. Then you're going to see the rest of the board set up here with a few wisdom cards to draw from, a few shop cards to draw from. You're going to set aside the monster cards and the different tokens that represent the different goals of the game. Across the top of the board, you're going to have a row of cards like any deck builder. You can purchase these cards and add them into your discard pile to eventually be shuffled back into your deck. The other thing you're going to have is an influence track, and each player is going to place their marker on this influence track, and the way this plays out is very interesting as well. Now, before you start, each player is going to draw 2 of these secret location tiles. You'll notice that on one side it's just plain white, and the other side it's going to have a location on the board. You're going to be given 2 of these, and these are going to represent locations. One of these is your secret location, and one of these is your decoy. You're going to take your secret location and put it face down on your secret location spot on your player board. The other one, the decoy, is going to cover one of your action spaces on your player board, meaning you will not be able to ever boost that action, which we'll talk about. One of the alternate goals of the game is discovering the other player's secret actions without discovering their decoy. And we'll talk about that when we talk about the action phase. So once every player has placed their miniature on their starting position, then you're ready to start playing the game. Now, like I said, this is interesting. You're going to draw 6 cards. This kind of feels like a simple deck builder. You've got your 6 cards, but then you're going to pass them to the player to your left or your right. Now you're going to have this teapot miniature, which of course I just have a standee, but this is going to represent an advanced play mode where one player is going to get to determine the way you pass these cards. Normally you're just going to pass them to the left. The next player is going to take your hand of cards, look at them, immediately choose one to add to your discard pile, meaning you are not going to see that card again until you reshuffle. Then the remaining 5 cards, they're going to split into 2 piles. one pile with 3 cards, one pile with 2, and they're going to give you a choice. You're going to choose one of these piles to take. Now, there's a lot of strategy here. You can trick players by putting their most powerful cards in the 3, assuming they're probably going to try to bury their cards, because usually having more cards is better. So you as a player need to decide what you think the other players at the table are doing, and you have to make the agonizing decision of which of these 2 piles. The other pile is going to go into the discard pile. So for example, I've kept the pile of 3. Now this is kind of all done simultaneously as you're passing these cards around. Once that's done, you're going to move on to the next phase of the game, which is the collection phase. Each one of these cards is going to have a green box at the bottom, and that shows you what you can get. And there are a variety of different components you can earn. You can earn money, which are coins that you'll need to spend at the shop. You can earn time tokens, which you will use to take actions on your player board. You can earn builders, which will be used to build buildings later. And you can earn a variety of other bonuses that are printed on those cards, like drawing extra cards or doing special actions. Now, at the end of the collect phase, you're going to take any time tokens that you had from previous rounds or that you just earned, and you have the option to place them on your player board. Each one of these time tokens can go in a specific slot of your player board that's not covered by that secret location tile. What you're basically doing is saying you're going to spend your time to boost these actions later, because the next phase is the action phase. And this is kind of the meat of the game, where you're going to be trying to complete those objectives that I referenced earlier. I talked about the green box that was on the bottom of these cards, but you're also going to see a red box. A red box is going to dictate the actions that you can take. In addition, you're going to get to take the actions of the spaces you placed your time token. So you could have a variety of different actions happening here on your turn. Now, the interesting thing about the game is that these actions are all taken simultaneously. However, there could be a conflict where 2 players want to take the same action to do the same thing. For example, if 2 players come to take the shop action and they both want to take it at the same time, you're going to look at the influence track that is up here. And the player that is at the top of the influence is going to be able to break that tie. They're going to choose, do I want to take the shop action first, or will I let my opponent take the shop action first? If I'm greedy and take the shop action, I'll get the card I want, but my influence token is going to drop to the very bottom of the influence track. Now another player will be higher. Next time I'm in a tie, I will be the last. If I choose to let my opponent go first, then nothing changes with the order there. And that is the same way that you break any kind of tied action that would happen over the course of the game. Now, each one of these actions is going to push you towards completing those objectives. Now, there are 2 ways to win. You either prove your Gambaru by completing all 4 objectives, or you complete 2 of the 4 objectives and discover an opponent's secret location. If you can do one of those 2 things, then you win the game. So these actions are going to help you do that. Now, the first action is movement. You're going to count up all of the move icons that you have on cards in your hand and on those boosted actions on your player board. And you're going to get to move that many spaces. Now, you can move through spaces that contain other players, and you can even land on their space. And here's the twist. If you land on another player's space, they are forced to move back to the location you started from. So you are completely bouncing them across the board. Now, if they don't want that to happen, for example, maybe they want to use their move first to get out of the way, then it goes back to that influence tracker and they can favor themselves and they can move out of that space. Now, this is doubly complicated by the use of these boats. If you have a boat token, you can turn it in and you can move anywhere on the board, meaning I can pick up my figure, move it clear to the other side of the board, and force the other player all the way back to where I was. This can kind of mess with player strategies because location on the board is important for 2 reasons. Now, one is to be able to build shrines. You see these little shrine markers spread out across the board. If you are in a location with an empty shrine marker and you have a build action available, you can pay to build a shrine. Now, shrines are going to require a number of those build tokens, certain money, and whatever else is printed on your player board. And you're going to take one of your shrine tokens and you're going to place it there on the map. If you've managed to place all 3 of your shrines, then you have considered to complete that Gambaru, and you get to take the Shinto token of building shrines. And you're going to take that and put it out in front of you. You are 1 step closer to winning the game. Now, the other reason you want to be in a specific location is so you can search it looking for another player's secret location. There's an action you can take that will let you reveal tokens off to the side. you can just reveal one and flip it over. Everybody sees that location. Everyone knows that's not in anyone's hand. You do get 1 coin for doing so, but you are giving information to all the players. But if you're in a location, for example, if I'm in Hiroshima, I can search it. If any player has Hiroshima as their secret location, they have to reveal it and give it to me. I take one of these secret location tiles, and now I only need 2 objectives to win the game. But if I accidentally search somebody's decoy, they take their decoy tile off of their player board, freeing up that action that was covered, and they give it to me. I have to take it now and cover up one of my actions. Now, if you keep finding decoys, you're going to find your action spaces very limited on the board. Now, in addition to building shrines, you can also build your pagoda, but you can build your pagoda out anywhere on the board, any one of these pagoda spots. It doesn't matter where you are, but pagodas require a lot of resources, a lot of the building tokens, a lot of time tokens, and money. But building 1 pagoda is all you need to get that Zen token. So once you have that, again, now we are now 2 out of the 4. If I had arranged it like this with both buildings and that secret location, I would now have immediately won the game. But there are still more actions you need to take. We talked about the Bushido, which is requiring you to battle a legendary monster. You're going to see this deck of monster cards that's off here on the board. There are 2 locations you can travel to, at least on a 3-player map, that are going to allow you to battle the monster. You've got these 2 locations here. When you travel to that location and use the battle action, you're going to reveal the card, and it's going to show you a variety of items that you have to spend. It's going to require money and tokens and often specific weapons. Every single legendary monster is going to require a specific weapon to defeat. Now, if you do defeat the monster, then of course you take one of the Bushido tokens, and now you're again 1 step closer to victory. Now, in order to get the correct weapons, in order to fight these monsters, you're going to have to come down to the shop. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can come down to the shop and buy items. A lot of these items are going to help you in different ways by giving you bonuses that you can take on your turn, or let you turn in this card to act as a specific thing. But in addition, you're going to have a variety of these red weapon tokens. Before you go fighting those legendary monsters, you want to make sure that you have several of these, if not a complete set, because you don't know what monsters are going to come up. Now, the last action you can take that really impacts your ability to win is to host a festival. You can place this festival token in your space, and you are now having a festival there. At a festival, you can do 2 different things. You can trade in your coins and time at a 1-to-1 ratio, as many as you want in one direction or the other. The other thing you can do is spend some time studying the philosophy. Now, these wisdom cards that you've seen up here on the top of the board are each dedicated to a particular branch of philosophy. You have your Shinto, your Zen, your Confucian, and your Taoist cards. If you manage to collect a full set of all 4, that's when you get that Chie token, and that's the 4th of the tokens. So if you've managed to do all of these things, build your pagodas, collect a full set of cards, battle the monster, and get all your shrines out, then you've won the game. Now, there are a couple actions that are going to not directly push you towards those, but will help you. One of those actions is to burn. You can simply take a card and just remove it from the game. You'll never see that card again. This is a good way to cull out some of the cards that you're not going to use. And you have the option to take cards from the top row and add them to your deck. You're going to get some better actions and some better resources during the collection phase by taking these cards. Now, each one of these cards has a cost that you have to pay in order to take it, but you'll simply take that card and you're going to place it in your discard pile. Now, in addition to those actions, you're going to have a special player power that can be activated on your turn, at least if you're using the advanced side of these cards. And you can use this player power. It'll help you boost one of those actions or give you some other benefit you can take on your turn. Once everyone has taken all of their actions, you're going to pass. You're going to hand off that teapot marker if you're playing that advanced mode. Then you're going to go back to the beginning. You're going to discard all the cards you had just played. You're going to draw a new hand of 6 cards. And you're going to repeat that process. And you're going to do this back and forth around the table, with each player doing all these phases until one player reaches one of those 2 in-game conditions. If they do, they win the game and it's over. Otherwise, you're going to continue and keep playing these rounds. So that is my look at Philosophia Floating World. Thank you for taking a look at it with me. I think this is a great follow-up to the first Philosophia game, which focused on Western philosophy. This brings a lot of Eastern philosophical principles into the board game and changes up the mechanics. And I really like that it keeps the game series fresh, and I'm excited to see which kind of philosophies they tackle next. So if you would take a look at their Kickstarter page, you'll get to see all of the final components. Like I said, I'm only using some tokens and some punch outs to represent what will be minis or even wooden pieces. So that's all present there, as well as seeing the other characters that I don't have here and all the stretch goal content. So thank you so much for watching. Please don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and follow us on MVM for more looks at board games just like this one. I will see you next time.
Now, before you go, there's one more thing I want to talk about. I hate to bring this up, but YouTube analytics tells us to do this. So please click on the subscription button, ring the bell, watch our next video, rinse and repeat. Just keep doing that over and over and over and over.